Have you ever felt trapped in your own head? Like your mind is no longer a place of peace, but a battlefield of thoughts you never asked for. You lie awake at night, not because the world is loud, but because your thoughts won't let you rest. One idea becomes 10. One worry becomes 50. You replay moments from years ago, imagining what you could have said. Or worse, you predict disasters that haven't happened and might never happen. This is overthinking, and it's quietly stealing your life from you. But you're not alone. You're not broken. And no, you're not weak for feeling this way. You're human. In today's world, overthinking has become the default. Our minds are overstimulated, overconnected, yet undernourished in silence. We carry the weight of 1,000 decisions, 100 fears, and an endless stream of mental noise. Even when nothing is wrong, something still feels off. Why? Because we've forgotten how to rest our minds. We've mistaken thinking for solving and control for peace. But here's the truth. You don't need more thoughts. You need more space between them. And this is exactly where the ancient wisdom of Buddhism begins its whisper. Buddha never promised that life would be free from pain. He never said that peace comes from having no problems. What he did offer was a profound invitation. Train your mind and peace will follow. That's not a poetic metaphor, that's practical instruction. And in this video, we're going to explore what that truly means. Not through dogma, not through blind belief, but through 8 powerful teachings, timeless insights rooted in Buddhist philosophy, that will help you break free from the exhausting cycle of overthinking and finally step into the calm you've been craving for far too long. And no, this isn't about escaping reality. It's about seeing reality more clearly without the fog of fear, regret, and rumination. Each teaching we'll explore is not just a concept. It's a tool, a doorway, a soft lantern in the dark corridor of your mind. But before we get to the first one, pause, take a deep breath with me, right now. Brief pause, inhale sound, then soft exhale. There's no past in this moment, no future. Just this breath, this stillness, this chance to begin again. You see, overthinking thrives in the absence of presence. But presence, even in one deep breath, can unravel 1,000 thoughts. So now, let's go further. Let's explore not just how to calm the mind, but how to understand it and liberate it through a path that has helped millions for thousands of years. Let's start with the very first step, a truth that may seem simple, but is the foundation of every transformation. Know what causes your mind to spiral, because you cannot free yourself from a prison you don't even realize you're in. It's easy to say, just stop overthinking. But the mind doesn't obey slogans. The truth is, you can't silence the noise in your head if you never ask where it's coming from. Because beneath every overthought thought, beneath every restless night, and every racing heartbeat, is a trigger, a source, a pattern, a root, and it's different for each of us. For some, overthinking begins the moment they fear being judged. For others, it's the weight of perfectionism, constantly replaying every word, every move, trying to avoid failure at all costs. Some spiral because of past wounds, some because of future fears, and some simply because silence feels unfamiliar, even unsafe. But here's the empowering part. Your mind isn't your enemy. It's just trying to protect you. Only it doesn't always know how. The overthinking isn't random. It's a defense, a coping mechanism, a learned response from a life that's asked too much of you too fast. So what do? We become aware, not in judgment, but in deep, compassionate observation. Buddhism teaches that awareness is the beginning of freedom. Before any change can happen, you have to be able to see clearly. You have to know your inner battlefield before you can lay down your weapons. So here's a small but powerful exercise. Take out a piece of paper. Yes, real paper, not a phone note. and write this question at the top. What situations make my mind spiral? Don't rush it. Don't try to be wise. Just be honest. Is it when someone ignores your message? When you're asked to speak in public? When a memory from your past resurfaces out of nowhere? Is it when you're left alone too long or not alone enough? These are not weaknesses. They are maps, and when you name them, you stop being chased by them. Because what we don't name controls us in silence, but what we bring to light loses its grip. And here's the miracle. When you see your triggers clearly, you can prepare for them. You can meet them with breath, not panic, with presence, not paralysis. Think of it like this. A storm is only terrifying when you don't know it's coming. But if you see the clouds forming, you close the windows. You light a candle, you sit still, you prepare. Self-awareness is your candle in the storm. You don't have to solve everything today. You don't have to fix every thought. You only need to notice. Right now I feel anxious. Right now my thoughts are racing. Right now I want control, but I don't have it. And that's okay. The Buddha didn't ask you to be perfect. He asked you to be aware. He knew that the mind isn't something to suppress. It's something to observe and gently retrain. There's a saying in Zen, when the archer misses the mark, he turns and looks within. The same goes for you. You didn't fail because your mind is busy. You simply haven't looked inward long enough. And that inward gaze, that gentle turning toward your inner chaos, that is not weakness. That is the beginning of liberation. So the next time the spiral begins, don't fight it. Just say quietly, I see you. Because what is seen can be understood. And what is understood can finally be let go. And now that you've opened the first door, that honest look into your own mind. What happens next? Well, something profound. Let's see what shifts when we stop running from thoughts and instead learn to name them without fear. Shall we move on? Have you ever watched clouds drifting across the sky? They come and go, some dark, some light, some strange in shape, but none of them stick around forever. Your thoughts are the same. And yet most of us, we forget. We let a single thought, I'm not good enough, consume our entire being like a thundercloud engulfing the sun. But here's a practice that ancient Buddhist monks used to liberate themselves from this trap. They didn't fight the thoughts. They didn't deny them. They simply named them, just like pointing at a cloud and saying, "Ah, that's a storm cloud." They practiced mindful labeling, a radical act of awareness, not of judgment. Imagine this, you're sitting in traffic. You're late, your mind starts to race. This always happens to me. Why is life so unfair? I should have left earlier. My boss is going to be pissed. Pause. Instead of spiraling, take a breath. Label the thought, anxiety. The next one, self-blame. Then catastrophizing. Just label it, not I am anxious, but this is a moment of anxiety. Not I'm such a mess, but this is a self-critical thought. Subtle shift, massive power. You are not your thoughts. You are the witness, the observer who notices without attachment. And in that noticing, you reclaim your freedom. This isn't spiritual fluff. Neuroscientists have discovered that when we label emotions, we downregulate activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. It's like telling your nervous system, I see what's happening. You don't need to go to war over it. Naming the emotion gives it shape, and with shape comes separation. You're no longer drowning in it, you're simply aware. Monks in Zen monasteries often sit in silence not to escape the noise of the mind but to see it clearly. One teacher would tell his students, every time a thought arises, bow to it. Say hello, then let it pass. Because when you label something, you take away its ability to control you unconsciously. Let's be honest. Overthinking isn't the problem. It's believing everything you think. That's the problem. So instead of being pulled into a narrative, try this. This is planning. This is worry. This is judgment. This is memory. This is fantasy. No need to analyze it. No need to fix it, just name it and let it float by. What you'll begin to notice is powerful thoughts lose their urgency. They become like background noise in a coffee shop, still there but no longer the center of your attention. You sit at peace while life moves around you. And from that peace, a new kind of clarity emerges. You no longer react from a place of confusion, but respond from a place of grounded awareness. So the next time your mind starts spinning its web of what-ifs, should-haves, and always this way, don't get trapped. Instead, gently say, I see you, and I know what you are. Then breathe and let it pass, because freedom isn't found in having no thoughts, it's found in not becoming them. As the mind begins to quiet through this practice, a sacred space opens up, one where you can finally listen to something deeper than thought itself, the still, unwavering silence underneath. And it's from that silence that something extraordinary starts to unfold. A power we all have, yet rarely use. The power to redirect the mind rather than just observe it, to choose where our attention goes. And that is where we now go next. Sometimes the greatest tragedies don't lie in what happens to us, but in what we miss while trying to escape the present moment. While your mind races toward the future or replays the past, life itself slips quietly through your fingers, unnoticed, unlived, unloved. Take a breath right now. Yes, just like that. You're not preparing to live. You're living right here in this very breath. The present moment isn't just a poetic idea. It is the only place where life actually happens. Everything else, every what if, every regret, every plan is a mental movie projected onto a screen that doesn't exist. The past is memory. The future is imagination. But the present, it's real, tangible, unfolding right here. Let's be honest. How many moments have you truly lived today? Not just existed through, but felt deeply. A sip of warm tea, the smile of a stranger, the sensation of air on your skin. Chances are you've missed most of them and you're not alone. Overthinking has trained your mind to reject the now as incomplete. It whispers, something's missing. You should be doing more. Wait till you fix everything, then you'll feel peace. But here's the paradox. When you finally stop chasing peace in the next moment, you discover it's been quietly waiting for you in this one. The Buddha once said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Not because the past and future don't matter, but because your power to influence both lives only here, in the now. Still, present moment awareness isn't about forcing yourself to feel calm or pretending your problems don't exist. It's about not abandoning yourself when things feel messy. It's about returning to this breath, this step, this moment again and again. No matter how loud your thoughts get, it's about anchoring in awareness. So, how do you do that? It begins with the body. Your thoughts can fly 1,000 miles per minute, but your body never leaves the now. Feel your feet. Notice the rhythm of your breath. Listen, really listen, to the sounds around you without judging or naming them. And when your mind drifts, because it will, gently bring it back, not with force but with kindness, like guiding a child home after it's wandered off. Each time you do this, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that safety, clarity, and peace are not out there, but here, within. There's a story in Zen tradition of a student asking a master, "Master, what is enlightenment?" The master replied, "When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep." The student, confused, said, "But we all do that." The master looked at him and said, "No, when you eat, you think of 100 things. When you sleep, you dream of tomorrow. That is not eating, that is not sleeping." This is the curse of overthinking. It separates us from life while convincing us we're engaged. We become ghosts, haunted by what was and what could be, never quite present for what is. But when you live with presence, you begin to see miracles in the ordinary. You stop rushing through life like it's a checklist and start tasting it like a sacred offering. A cup of coffee becomes a ceremony. A conversation becomes a doorway. Even pain becomes a teacher, not just something to run from. Present moment awareness isn't escapism. It's radical engagement. It's a choice to show up fully for what life is offering you, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not what you planned. And sometimes, it's in these raw, unfiltered moments that the most profound transformations happen. Because when you're truly present, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop being a prisoner of your thoughts and start becoming a witness. And that witnessing, that space, is where freedom begins. So, the next time your thoughts try to drag you into the past or catapult you into the future, pause. Ask yourself, what is lacking in this exact moment? You'll find more often than not the answer is nothing. In this breath you are safe. In this moment you are enough. And this moment, fleeting, fragile, sacred, is all you ever truly have. As you settle into that truth, something opens. A softening, a lightness. You begin to feel life, not think about it. You begin to embody peace, not chase it. And when that happens, the noise of overthinking loses its grip because you're no longer feeding it. You're choosing presence over panic, stillness over struggle, awareness over autopilot. And that, dear listener, is not just mindfulness. It is mastery. Now stay right here with me, because in this stillness, a subtle shift is already happening. A deeper awareness is waking up within you. And when we begin to witness our thoughts from this space of presence, we discover something powerful. We don't have to believe every thought we think. We can learn to label them, observe them, and liberate ourselves from them. Let's explore how next. Pain can feel like forever. When you're deep in sorrow, when anxiety wraps itself around your chest like a steel cord, when regret gnaws at your heart at 2 a.m., the mind tells you this will never end. And that's the trap. Because the truth, the deep, unshakable truth that Buddhism has whispered across centuries, is this: everything is impermanent. Even the pain that feels eternal is, in fact, a passing guest. Think about this. The happiest day of your life didn't last forever. The worst day of your life, it ended too. The seasons shift. The tides return. The breath comes in and then goes out. And just like that, every emotion, every thought, every mood is temporary. But the overthinking mind doesn't believe this. It clings. It replays. It rewinds memories like a broken tape, reliving pain not once but 1,000 times. And yet, none of that pain is permanent unless we attach ourselves to it. Here's the power of Buddhist wisdom. You don't have to deny pain. You don't need to suppress it or pretend it doesn't hurt. But you do need to see it clearly and let it flow through you. Like a storm, it rolls in. It may thunder. But no storm stays. Ajahn Chah, a great Thai meditation master, once held up a glass and said, "This glass is already broken." He wasn't being pessimistic. He was teaching impermanence. He said, "I enjoy the glass while I have it. I use it, I drink from it. But someday it will fall and shatter. So I already accept that." He found peace in knowing that everything, even what he loved, would pass. That's not loss. That's freedom. Now imagine what happens when you look at your thoughts the same way. When a painful memory rises, you don't fight it. You don't hold it like a stone. You watch it. You know it will fade. And so, like clouds drifting across the sky, your suffering starts to lose its grip. Pain is not the enemy. Clinging to it is. And the beauty is, when you begin to see pain as impermanent, joy becomes even more precious too. Because you know this moment, this smile, this quiet peace, this deep breath is fleeting. So you savor it. You don't postpone happiness for later. You live it now. This understanding doesn't just help you survive the dark days. It transforms how you move through life. You stop chasing what cannot last. You stop resisting what is changing, and you start flowing with the rhythm of life, not against it. Even the most persistent overthinking melts when you stop believing that every thought and every emotion is forever. Impermanence teaches you this simple truth. You are not your pain. You are the space through which pain passes. So the next time your mind begins to spiral, pause. Breathe in and whisper gently, "This too shall pass." And it will. As the noise quiets and the mind softens, you're left with something far deeper than just silence. You're left with freedom. Freedom from the illusion of permanence. Freedom from the grip of overthinking. Freedom to just be. Let's go even deeper, into something most people miss entirely. Something so simple, so often overlooked, yet it holds the secret to escaping mental imprisonment. It's not about control. It's about understanding. What if I told you that your thoughts are not facts? Yes, those urgent voices screaming in your mind, the spirals of what if and I should have, they might feel important, but they are just weather in the sky of your consciousness. And you are the sky, vast, untouched, unshaken. This is the heart of non-attachment. You see, the problem isn't that we think. That's the nature of the mind. It generates thoughts just like your lungs breathe and your heart beats. The real suffering begins when we believe every thought, when we cling to them, when we let them define who we are. Imagine for a moment that each thought is a cloud drifting through the sky. Some are bright and fluffy, others are dark and heavy. But no matter how stormy or beautiful, clouds never stay. They move, they dissolve, and they're never the sky itself. So here's the trap. Instead of watching the thoughts float by, we often grab onto one. We wrestle with it, argue with it, try to fix it, or bury ourselves under it. And in doing so, we become entangled in something that was never meant to stay. But what if we didn't grab it? What if, when a painful memory arose, we simply noted, a memory, and let it float by? What if a judgment appeared, I'm not good enough, and instead of fighting it, we said, that's just a thought, and watched it pass? This is not repression. This is awareness without ownership. Non-attachment doesn't mean you suppress or ignore your emotions. It means you recognize them for what they are, passing mental events, and refuse to let them hijack your peace. You observe, not absorb. This practice is at the very heart of Buddhist mindfulness. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. But he also showed the way out, not by stopping thoughts, but by changing our relationship with them. The mistake many of us make is believing that non-attachment requires us to become cold or distant, but it's the opposite. When we stop being consumed by every passing thought, we actually become more present, more compassionate, more available to life. We're no longer stuck in the stories of our minds. We can finally live in our hearts. So how do you begin? Start with the simple mantra, this thought is not me. Repeat it gently when your mind spins with fear or regret. This thought is not me. Say it when judgment arises, toward yourself or others. This thought is not me. And notice the space that opens up. In that space, something extraordinary happens. You begin to hear the silence underneath the noise. You begin to feel your breath, your heartbeat, your being. You begin to realize you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them. Let them come. Let them go like clouds in the sky. Nothing to hold, nothing to chase, just breath and space and freedom. And as this gentle detachment deepens, something else becomes clear. The mind, once your prison, can become your path to liberation. But to truly walk this path, you must understand what anchors you back into the present, what grounds you when the winds of thought grow strong. And that leads us to something even deeper, something essential to calming the overthinking mind and returning to peace. Let's explore this anchor, this lifeline, together. What if I told you that most of the stress you carry doesn't belong to you? What if the weight you feel in your chest, the knot in your stomach, and the endless cycle of what-ifs are all symptoms of one thing: trying to control what was never yours to command? This is the silent trap of the overthinking mind. We obsess over outcomes, replay conversations, worry about how others perceive us, fear failure, resist uncertainty, all in a desperate attempt to feel some kind of control in a world that is, by its very nature, uncertain. And yet the paradox is this: the more we try to control, the more we suffer, because control, for the most part, is an illusion. Let that land for a moment. Think about a storm. You can't stop the rain from falling. You can't change the direction of the wind, but you can close the windows. You can light a candle. You can sip tea in stillness while thunder echoes in the distance. That is the essence of letting go, not giving up, but knowing where your power ends and where life begins. In Buddhist teachings, this understanding is called acceptance of the uncontrollable. It's not passive resignation, it's active wisdom. The wisdom to know that your peace should not be at the mercy of what others say or do. The wisdom to recognize that your power lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in mastering your internal response. When the Buddha taught about suffering, he compared it to being struck by two arrows. The first arrow is the pain life throws at us: loss, illness, rejection, uncertainty. The second arrow is the one we shoot ourselves with: resistance, worry, denial, mental chaos. We may not avoid the first arrow, but the second. That's optional. Let's make this real. You don't control the traffic jam that's making you late, but you do control whether you scream behind the wheel, clench your fists, and arrive drained, or whether you take a breath, listen to calming music, and use that delay to reconnect with the present moment. You don't control if someone misunderstands you or criticizes you unfairly, but you do control whether you spiral into defensiveness and replay the conversation all night, or whether you let their opinion float by like a leaf on the stream, untouched at your core. You don't control the economy, aging, the weather, or the unpredictable twists of life, but you do control how much energy you pour into trying to fix what cannot be fixed, or how much peace you preserve by surrendering to what is. Here's the beautiful truth. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You still show up. You still love. You still dream, but without the frantic grip. Without the expectation that everything must go according to your plan in order for you to feel safe or fulfilled. Letting go is about spaciousness. It's giving your mind room to breathe. It's realizing that peace doesn't require perfection. It only requires presence. But how do we actually let go when everything inside us wants to hold on? Start by asking this simple question: is this within my control? If yes, act wisely. If no, breathe and release. This practice, rooted deeply in Stoic and Buddhist traditions, is as practical as it is profound. You don't need to escape to a monastery to let go. You just need to pause. Pause when your mind is spinning. Pause when your heart races with worry. Pause when you feel the pull to fix, to manipulate, to overanalyze. In that pause, choose again. Choose peace over power. Choose surrender over struggle. Choose presence over perfection. There's a Zen saying that captures this beautifully: let go or be dragged. The truth is, life will move with or without you. You can either flow with it or be bruised by your resistance. And every moment you spend trying to control the uncontrollable is a moment stolen from the joy you could be living right now. A woman once came to the Buddha, consumed by grief after losing her only child. She begged him to bring her son back. Instead, he told her, "Go and find a mustard seed from a household untouched by death." She searched all day and found no such home. Then she returned, not with a seed, but with understanding. Suffering touches everyone. Control is an illusion, and the path to peace is through surrender. So ask yourself gently, what are you holding onto right now that is holding you back? What expectations are you forcing onto reality? What storms are you trying to stop instead of sheltering from with grace? Letting go is not a one-time act. It's a daily discipline. Some days you'll feel free. Other days your grip will tighten again. That's okay. Just return. Return to breath. Return to presence. Return to trust. Because when you truly let go of what you can't control, you begin to realize how much power you do have. Over your thoughts, over your responses, over your choices, and over the kind of peace you allow into your life. Now, what happens when those thoughts, those loud, insistent, looping thoughts, start to rise again? What if you didn't silence them, but transformed your relationship with them entirely? Let's explore that next. Have you ever walked into a quiet room after leaving a crowded marketplace? That feeling of space, stillness, and clarity is what simplicity brings to your life. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't boast, but its power is undeniable. In a world driven by more thoughts, more choices, more noise, simplicity feels like a revolutionary act. It whispers what the ego cannot hear, that you already have enough. Simplicity is not about poverty, it's about precision. It's about cutting away the mental clutter, emotional excess, and material distractions that steal your peace. It's about making space, not just in your home or calendar, but in your mind. And in that space, something incredible happens. You begin to breathe again. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the root of suffering is craving for what we don't have, clinging to what we might lose, wanting things to be other than they are. Simplicity isn't just a lifestyle, it's a spiritual practice. It invites you to step off the treadmill of striving and return to the present moment, where contentment quietly waits. You may have noticed, the more things you own, the more things begin to own you. The more goals you chase, the more you're haunted by the fear of not achieving them. But what if fulfillment wasn't found in accumulation, but in subtraction? Zen monks live with very little: a bowl, a robe, a mat. But their lives are not lacking. Their inner world is often richer than the outside world of those with closets full of clothes and calendars full of appointments. Why? Because they've emptied themselves of what doesn't serve the soul. And in that emptiness, clarity arises. Simplicity isn't the absence of ambition, it's the refinement of it. It means choosing a few things deeply, rather than 100 things halfway. It means you stop multitasking through life and start being fully present with what's in front of you. A cup of tea, a conversation, a sunrise. But make no mistake, simplicity isn't always easy. It often requires letting go of the identities we've built around doing and having. It means asking tough questions. Why do I really need this? Is this feeding my spirit or just my insecurity? It means facing the discomfort of emptiness, and then discovering that emptiness is not void, but space for awareness to blossom. There is a story in Zen about a professor who came to visit a master to learn about Zen. The master offered tea and kept pouring until the cup overflowed. The professor shouted, "It's full. No more will go in." The master replied, "Exactly. Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and noise. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup?" That is simplicity in action. Empty your cup. Declutter your mind. Untangle your life. Not because the world demands it, but because your peace depends on it. And here's the hidden magic of a simple life. It amplifies your awareness. When you're not constantly stimulated, you begin to notice the subtle. The sound of the wind through trees, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the gentle rhythm of your breath. These aren't small things. These are life itself. And in that simplicity, anxiety loses its grip. Overthinking fades into the background. And in the silence, your true self has space to speak. Not the self that wants or fears or impresses, but the self that simply is. So start small. Declutter one drawer. Say no to one unnecessary commitment. Spend one evening without screens. Watch what happens in your mind when your environment stops screaming at you. You'll begin to realize peace was never missing. It was just buried under layers of noise. Simplicity is not a retreat from life. It's a deeper embrace of it. It's not about having less. It's about making room for more of what actually matters. And when you learn to live with less, you begin to think less. Not because you become careless, but because your mind, like your life, becomes clear. And in that clarity, what comes next is not more effort, but more freedom. Have you ever tried to hold water in your hand, only to watch it slip through your fingers no matter how tightly you grasp? That's what the mind is like when left untrained, restless, reactive, constantly spilling in every direction. And yet, the secret to peace, clarity, and deep inner freedom lies not in tightening your grip, but in letting go, sitting still, and simply observing. This is where meditation enters, not as a trendy escape or mystical practice, but as a profound act of inner rebellion. In a world that profits from your distraction, meditation is a declaration. I will not be ruled by chaos. It's a return, a remembering, a homecoming to your true self. You see, the greatest myth about meditation is that it's about controlling your thoughts. But control is just another form of tension, and tension is the enemy of peace. The real goal is not to force the mind into silence, but to allow it to settle, like muddy water in a still glass. Over time, the dirt sinks, the clarity rises, and you begin to see, truly see. Let's strip it back to its essence. Meditation is the art of becoming aware, not fixing, not changing, not running, just sitting, just breathing, just being. That might sound too simple to be powerful, but don't be fooled. This is the training ground of the mind. When you sit with your eyes closed and your spine upright, you're not just taking a break. You're rewiring your nervous system. You're watching the storm without being swept away. You're remembering that you're not the clouds, you're the sky. And mindfulness, it's how you carry meditation off the cushion and into your daily life. It's being fully in the moment while doing the dishes, brushing your teeth, or sipping your morning tea. It's learning to walk without rushing, to speak without rehearsing, to listen without reacting. Mindfulness trains you to be here, even when your mind wants to be anywhere else. Because the truth is, most of us don't live our lives. We think them, we plan them, we worry through them, we miss them. But when you are mindful, you return to the miracle of now. You start tasting your food again. You begin hearing the silence between words. You notice the flicker of light through the trees. And in those simple moments, joy returns, not because life changed, but because you showed up for it. The Buddha once said, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." Meditation is that inward journey, and mindfulness is the map. It won't always be easy. Some days your mind will be loud, your legs restless, your heart heavy. But those are the moments that matter most. That's when you build the muscle of stillness. And like any muscle, it strengthens over time. Slowly, subtly, profoundly. With regular practice, you'll begin to notice that the thoughts that once held power over you now pass like birds in the sky. The emotions that once swallowed you now arise and dissolve like morning mist. And the old stories you told yourself begin to fade into silence. This is not about escaping the mind. It's about becoming its master. No longer tossed around by every mood or memory, you begin to move from a place of calm wisdom. You respond instead of react. You listen instead of judge. You pause instead of panic. You become the observer, not cold and detached, but deeply alive, compassionate, grounded. And this shift, this simple, silent shift, can change everything. Because once the mind is still, even for a moment, you begin to taste the freedom that's always been within you. Not in some distant future, not when everything is perfect, but here, now. So close your eyes, take a breath, and begin again. Because every breath is a chance to return. And in that return is your peace. When the noise finally quiets, when the whirlwind of thoughts begins to settle, when your breath becomes a gentle rhythm, and your heart no longer races with what ifs and should haves, that's when you realize something profound. Peace was never outside of you. It was never hiding in another person, achievement, or escape. It was always there, quietly waiting inside. You've come far in this journey. You've faced the mental chaos, examined the roots, and learned to name your thoughts without becoming them. You've anchored yourself in the present moment, accepted the impermanence of pain, and discovered the liberating truth. You are not your thoughts. You've practiced letting go of what you cannot control. You've seen the quiet beauty of simplicity. And most importantly, you've begun training your mind to sit still, to simply be. This isn't a finish line. This is where the real journey begins. Now, with every breath, you have a choice. You can feed the storm or feed the silence. You can react or you can respond. You can chase the ever-moving horizon of perfection or rest in the peace of enough. Buddhism doesn't promise you a life without challenges. It offers you the wisdom to walk through them with grace. It teaches that your mind is both the storm and the shelter, your suffering and your salvation. And the most compassionate act you can ever do for yourself is to simply come home to this moment, over and over again. So as you rise from this experience, remember, you don't need to be a monk in the mountains to find peace. You only need to return to your breath, to this moment, to the quiet space within. Because the journey to peace doesn't begin when the world gets quieter. It begins the moment you decide to listen inward. And the most beautiful part, you don't need to go anywhere. You're already home. If this journey has touched something within you, if even one moment brought you a sense of stillness or clarity, then consider subscribing to Zen Buddhism Wisdom. Here, we don't chase trends. We return to truth. Each video is a quiet step back home, to presence, to peace, to purpose. So if your soul longs for more than noise, if you're seeking stillness in a world that never stops, we invite you to walk with us. Subscribe, breathe, and begin again. This is Zen. This is your path, and you are never alone.